Hey, it's great to have you all back. And tonight we are going to finish off the troubling problem of the splines. But the way we're going to do that is by basically helping you guys understand what's actually going on here. Okay? So I was thinking to myself that this part needs to be explained, or some of it at least. Okay? So, because not only was I getting, well, obviously, I would imagine you guys would be getting really confused. Okay? And if you weren't, well, I don't know. But, so, what we're going to do is we're going to take this part and we're going to comment it. Okay? And what this does is it repositions the last spline point where not positive. Okay? So what we shall do is repositions the last spline point where not positive. Okay? And then what I was wondering all day or earlier on before I had a chance to really think about it was what these do, right? Now what this does is repositions resets the Y position for final part of the spline, right? And then obviously this one resets the X position. Okay, so that's reset the X position for the final part of the spline. Okay, so what does that mean in terms of our code over here? Well, what it means is that this ain't going to be a sequence. Okay? This is going to go into here. And then if this is false, right, we'll stick a reroute node. Hey Stick, how are you this evening? So we're going to add a reroute node. Yeah, I've just started. That doesn't negate the fact that, yeah, I'm alone and that can be quite normal from our stream, but hey ho, we carry on. We do what we must. So, if the spline isn't positive, isn't going in a positive direction, then all we do is plug it into here. And then this will reposition the last spline point, and then it will reset all the final spline positions on the correct axis. Okay? So, basically, this was the part that finished off this afternoon. And basically, no worries, Stick, no worries. Are you not do Unreal Engine stuff? Right, so it's looking a bit messy again, our spaghetti, but it's going to become clearer, right, as we do this. So we know this part works for a spline that's short, right? But what we did this afternoon was I actually got this part working, okay? And you'll see what I mean if we test it. I can show you exactly the outcome. So, we want to join this miner to this refiner, okay? So we join up with a conveyor belt, and we join it up here. Now, if it's too long, it's going to plug into this, okay, our input. But if it's too long, then basically we need to remove this part of the spline, right? So when we click it, it's going to be short, which is exactly what we want. And then we basically add stuff back in. Okay, now if we're short, I can show you, if we're short, then it automatically joins it. Okay, it rearranges the spline, and then we start getting our barrels of bauxite going to the refiner. Okay, so cool. But the problem is if you go past it, right? So the first part of our program or our little function finds out if we're positive, and if we are positive, then basically it's gonna remove part of the spline, and you'll see it there. It's removed down to the point where we are short. Okay, which is good. That's what we want, right? But the next part is we need to add the final piece back on, okay? So we need to basically get this index of the spline, right? And we shall do a little bit of jiggery pokery here. So a little bit of jiggery pokery done. We'll paste that in, and we're going to move this final part to target Y. Okay, so what we do is we get a copy of this, and we use this final piece of the puzzle. We break this spline point, right? We'll move this stuff out the way for now. And basically what we're going to do now is we're going to set array element, okay. We're not going to plug it in there because it's actually going to plug in somewhere over here. In fact, we don't know where it's going to plug in because we're going to have to tidy the whole lot up. But anyway, right? So what we're going to do is we split that, then we basically make a spline point. We plug this index here, so that's going to update our final spline point. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to split the struct. We're going to say x equals x, y does not equal y equals target y. Okay, so that plugs in there, and our input key stays the same, and then we can plug this in here. Okay, and then we can plug that in there, and now instead of being short, right, our final piece should be correct. Okay, after that we've got one final piece of the puzzle to do, which shouldn't be too difficult, especially when we've just done this part. Okay, so we get the conveyor, we drag it on, pull it across, go up the way, and this should be directly in line with this when I click on this, and there it is. You see, it's directly in line now, so that's perfect. Okay, the reason the barrels come out is because it actually now thinks that it's connected. That won't happen in the actual game. It won't, because it'll do its calculations and it will be connected. Okay, so again, we'll move this right out of the way. Okay, we shall drag this down a bit, actually, because we can, so we will. We can actually have it there, which keeps that a bit tidier for the moment. I can tidy it up again, but anyway, right, so our last thing is basically we add one more point to this spline points. Okay, so what we do that, and we're going to add to it. Then we're going to make a spline point, right? Then what we're going to do is make it here. As I said, we can tidy this up later when we're all happy that it's working. Okay, and then we're going to split this point. Okay, we're going to take this Z, because I don't know if we actually set the Z. We have got a Z. I don't know if we actually use it. But yeah, in fact, all we need to do here is basically get the endpoint. Okay, and then we can split the struct. And in theory, if the Z point isn't correct, we'll fix it. Okay, we'll just take it from here. So what we've got to do now is we add that, and now we can plug this straight in. Okay. And now, if we've got this all correct, these should join up perfectly, which is kind of the point of what we're doing here. And there we kind of go. Hi Rex. It depends what you want advice on. What do you want advice on? That's the question, really. So we know that actually works. So we need to do, now this is going to be exactly the same for both of these, right? This part's going to be slightly different, although pretty much the same. So what we're going to do with that in mind is we're going to tidy this up. Rex, probably the best advice I'd give you is to stick at it. Don't do tutorials that you are obviously way beyond your capacity to understand. Just stick to very, very simple things to start off with. And basically don't give up, because it's a lot to learn, right? But you'll figure it out in the end. It'll all start beginning to make sense in the end. Okay? But as I said, it depends what you want to learn and what type of game you're making, or whatever it is you're doing with Unreal Engine. Okay? So fundamentally this is going to be the same. The only difference being that this is going to be target X. So in effect, what we're going to do is we're going to delete this. Okay? Then we're going to copy paste this in. Okay? And this is going to go to there. That can go to there, even though we don't actually need that. We just need to go into there. Right? And this is going to be target X. So we can delete that. We can plug in position X. And then we say target X. Okay, so we get target X. and this goes in here. Okay. And we basically do the same thing as this. Or do we? No, that's going to be position X. Yeah, that's target Y. Right, so we're going to do the same as this, except it's going to be target Y. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to move all this across, or down to here. Right, and then we're going to copy this and duplicate it. Okay, and then that's going to plug into there. And then that is going to plug into there. Okay, if it's going to plug into there, then we can basically delete that. And we know this is position X, target X, and the Y position is going to go into the Y position here. And then we're going to delete that, and we're going to say target X. Okay. And there we go. That's going to go to there. So let's see, first of all, if we can tidy this up in some manner. I think we can. There's no reason why we can't. So basically what we can do is we can copy these two. We are going to do something slightly different here. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to paste these. We're going to delete the sets. Right? And we're basically going to do an OR. So if either one of these is positive, right, we're going to branch so we branch into our thing there. Right, now if this is true, we basically go into here. And we can forget that, because if it's false, we go straight into here. Okay, I think we're going to have to do a reroute node here. Okay, so we'll do a reroute node, that's no problem. Reroute. We shall drag it out a bit. Drag it a bit more. And then finally we can go to there. Okay? And that's perfect. And let's start tidying this up a bit, okay? So, let's start tidying it up. So we can say end, get endpoint, okay? And that can basically go in there. Okay. Then we can do it again. Get endpoint and plug it straight into there. And now we can actually remove this. So what we can do is we can basically clean up a bit. This can go. That can go directly into there. We can straighten that. Okay. So now what we can do is we can not do that. Undo it. We can grab the whole lot of this and go to here. Then in theory we can drag this, and in reality we can delete that. And well, I would have liked to have plugged it straight into there, but apparently it doesn't want me to. We can't. Right, don't be like that. So what we can do is we can do add reroute node. Right, and then what we can do is we can drag it down out of the way or close, and then we can hit control and join it on, except it doesn't really want to. So okay, whatever, we'll do that instead. Right, I can live with that. So let's try and tidy this up a bit. So if we put that there, then we put that there. Then we can kind of split this off a bit. Right, so that's a lot tidier already. We will, however, move this up a bit. right? And we'll move this up a bit to give us a bit more of a look at this. So this is setting an array element, which is the last point, which is cool. Then this is using our current axis. So we shall move this into the correct position. Okay. Now this is beginning to look the part. So we shall move this down to here a bit. Okay. Right, we can do that in both. So that's okay. So what we can do here is we can duplicate that, right? Then this one comes off the Y. So what we can do is plug this in off the Y. Then this one here can come down and go here. Okay. Then this can come down a bit in the middle. And we don't do that. We want to just move this reroute node. So we're going to do that. And we're going to delete that. Then we're going to come to here. Okay. Now the thing is, we don't even need to do that. What we can do is we can duplicate that and we can move it to here. Then that plugs into that, because both of them do the same thing, right? I'm not changing any code here. I'm just basically making it more readable and more obvious what we're doing. Okay, so now this can go to here, right? And this can be removed. And this can actually go to here, and this can be removed. Okay. And now we are a heck more organized. Okay. So now what we could do is we can bring this, right, we didn't want to do that, but we can put that to there. We can get it a bit closer. What we can do is we can drag that down to there. We can move all this up once we've got to the final condition here. Then once we've done that, we can pull this down. We no longer have that line in the way, right? So we can push that up, we can push that up, we can push that up a bit, and we can basically do that, and then we can move both of these things up, then we can get that in line. We can drag this to here. Then we can push all of this along a bit to, let's say, there. Not 100% happy with this. We can drag this down to here. And this to here, right? And that's beginning to look a bit better. And we can tidy this up a bit here. Right? We'll align that right. We'll align those right. Then we'll select them all and align those right. Okay. Then we can move them up a bit. Back that way a bit. Okay. Isn't that now looking a bit better, guys? What do you think? So now that that whole thing is tidied up, right, we can basically do that. And we can fundamentally do the same thing here. We can drag that down, put that there, drag that into there, pull this down, right? So we'll sort that out in a minute. We can drag this to here, this to here. Remember, at this point, I'm not changing any code at all. I'm just basically tidying up the blueprint. Right? So I'm basically not making any changes. I'm just relaying out the way the blueprint is. So our get can move a bit closer again. We can straighten the connection to the reroute node. Right, we can drag these two now up a bit. Or in fact, we could drag them all the way down a bit. Right, because basically what we're going to do, if we can, is drag this up. We should have dragged that node while we were at it, but never mind. Drag that up. Then we can basically drag this across up here. Then we can straighten to the reroute, move it to the right. Then we can drag this off, move it to the bottom, grab them all, and align to the right. Okay. Now we can put that on the top and drag these down again, which is fine. And now what we can do is we can drag these to this way a bit. Then we can take these 2 points here and drag them up a bit. Okay. Then drag that in a bit. Then we can center this a bit. And we can move this. Then we can right click and straighten Reroute Node, which it is. And then now isn't that looking a bit better, guys? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll drag that out a bit, and now we need to tidy this up somehow. Okay. So I think for that purpose what we'll do is we'll drag this down, we'll straighten this so it's very short, we'll drag this down a touch, and then drag this down a touch. Then what we can do is we can drag this down, and I don't think we can actually make it much better than that, to be honest. I mean, we can drag this up a bit, but it ain't going to make any difference. Not much we can do there. Suppose we could drag that closer a bit. Which means that we could kind of drag this closer a bit. Which would mean we'd have to do that. It's not too bad. I'm not entirely thrilled by it, but you know, we can put that to there. Right, so we're not going to do anything with that. But what we are going to do is we're going to move everything in line. Pretty much. Right? So this is going to go here. Then this is going to come down. Yeah, and that looks about right. Then this is going to move to about there. And this is going to move to about here. And we shall put one of them there, right? And then we shall move this to there. Then this can basically go wherever it wants. Right, there we go. A lot tidier. And now we can bring the whole thing to, let's say, there. And then this whole thing can go to here. Okay. What's that, Rex Dev? I don't understand what your icons are doing. To be quite honest. Right, anyway. Oh yeah, Rex, if you want some help, by the way, if you are just starting out, check the description, you can join the Discord server. Right, so what we need to do here actually is grab all of this. And just drag it down a little bit, out the way. And as far as that goes, we should move this up a bit. I'm being pretty pernickety now, for no apparent reason. Okay, time for to test. Now, we shouldn't really have tidied the whole thing up before we tested, but it shows how confident I am. Which is probably misplaced, but hey ho, you know, that's life sometimes. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to save all. And on that point, what we're going to do is we're going to go for a cigarette. So I shall be back in 2.5 minutes. Okay guys, we're back. Just going to take a sip of my apple juice and we shall carry on. So, where are we? Testing time. Testing time. Time for some testing. So, the first test we're going to do is short. Okay? So we got up here, we're short, but we click here and there we go. Perfect. So the next thing we do is we go long. Okay. So if we go long, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful. And now the thing to test is the Y on the other axis, okay? So what we do is we click. First one is we go short, okay? So we go short, then we click on this, and we're screwed. Okay, that's fine. Let's not worry about that. Let's see what I actually did. Well, it looks like it lost its crap shit, basically. Right, so what we'll do is we shall try long. And we'll see if that does anything. Okay. So, again, we're going to go long. So if we go long it works, if we go short it doesn't. Okay? So for some reason on the Y our short isn't working. Okay? So I can only conceptualize that X and Z, X and Z. So that all works. Now the point being here, did I do the right thing here? So we're doing Y because it's X, and we should be doing X because it's Y. Okay, so that is the breakpoint there. So the question has to be, what are we getting wrong? Okay. We're not doing that, so that should be there, and that might be the only problem there in actual fact, because one spline point not being in the right place basically screws up the whole spline. because it basically can't join itself up. So we'll try that again. Now it was going short, wasn't it? So we're definitely short. And for some reason that's not right. Okay. So what we should do is we should check that this is right. Okay. Now I'm not 100% sure if we're going to need... Oh, I'm an idiot. Close that. Right. We draw that. Weirdly, right, we want to be short. And as you can see, one of these isn't true. Right? We might need to do negative on this. On the Y. Right, so what we'll do is we'll stop it, right? Clear the whole thing down. Yeah, it's going to give me a few errors, I know. So we get the conveyors, we click on conveyor, go there, down, down, go short, then we click on here, right? So X is positive, Y is negative. Okay. So hang on. Right. It's actually a NOR. Or is it? Right, let's do it the simple way. Right. If we do another branch, so if that's true, no, that's right. That's right, but the problem is we only check it depending on which direction we're going. Right? So this isn't right. Now that's weird. That's weird because it was working in the Y direction. Hmm. So what we need to do is we need to do that, right? And we need to check if it's the one X, right? Let's check this out. Yeah, if it's the X, we need to return the Y. So that tests for the Y, even though it says X, right? So I'll show you here. If it's X, it checks the Y position, right? So yeah. And if that's true, we go to here. Right. Let's work this out. If it's X, we're doing the X, right? And if Y, we're kind of doing the same thing. So if it's true, we head to here. And I think, yeah. Okay, so if it's false, we come to here. We do a reroute node. Add a reroute node. And if it's false, this one goes to here. Okay. So that seems reasonable. I might have these the wrong way around, but anyway, we'll give it a test. Check it out and see where we go. See how we get on with this. Right. I'm expecting this to go completely to pot, because I didn't think about it for long enough, but we'll soon see. So on X, right, so that's right, because we were short, right? That's okay. So we can stop that. And basically add a breakpoint there. And if we go past this time, right, that looks correct. There we go. Okay. Alright, we can stop that. And now on the Y, or the other version, on the other axis, if we come out here, come down here, and we're short, that should be correct. There we go. And now we can test out if we're long. Okay. So we go along, then we click on here. Hi Victor, how you doing? 2 watching. That's pretty standard, mate. That's nothing to sneer at, you know. Right, so that's went long. And there we go. Excellent. So, as you can see, it's nice to have you here, Victor. So there we go. Our short and long are now working. We have no errors to hold us up. Excellent. I am very, very happy with that situation for the moment. Okay, so there is our final code, our final blueprint, if you like, that does all our readjusting of our splines. Okay, so basically how it works is we set our targets, X and Y targets, we check our current axis. If it's X, we check to see if it's over or under. If it's over, we come down this. If it's under, we come down this. And similarly for the Y, if it's over, we actually end up coming down here. And if it's under, we do this again and come down here. And that readjusts our axes along the correct path on the X or Y, and basically connects up the spline and sets it all up ready to go. So there we go. Super smashing great. So, does any of you guys watching want to see the whole thing in action, or are you quite happy with the way it is? Just watching me dodge along. But that is actually one of the major problems that I had to solve. And now that it's finished, I'm kind of like, well, what do I do now? Good question. Well, I'll tell you what we could do actually. I don't think I have. Right, say we wanted a research bay, okay? So, if we wanted a research bay, I don't know, well, yeah, probably should have. But what we'll do is we'll go to our buildings, right? We'll go to a refiner, and basically what we're going to do is duplicate it. And it's going to be called research station. Okay. And we're going to be having a building mesh and a platform mesh, right? But this is our building mesh, and our building mesh ain't going to be that. So if we set it to nothing, now the next point is we're not going to have a pause output, I don't think. We're going to need to check on this one. We are going to have that. We are going to have a comp input, but we're not going to have a comp output. Okay. So that is going to go, and that is going to go. Save that. Well, that's the least of our problems, I believe. Right, we're not going to be doing this stuff. So the processing is going to be completely different, right? So we can delete that, compile that, then we'll check our next thing. We're probably not going to be doing this either. Yeah, vector output ain't going to exist. We've got our position input anyway. So we might be doing these, except we're not. Join that back up, compile that. I probably want to do this for the base class and just add the stuff that I want. Right. This, we're not going to be doing this. Right. So there's that. We're probably not going to be doing this. So save that. And there we go. Right. So what we're going to do here is we are actually going to have to create items for our for our research, we're not. Right? But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to create all the items for research. Right? Then we're going to have to create the stuff that does the research. Now, all we need to do in here is actually add a research component, and then work it out for there what we're going to do with it and how we're going to do it. Right? But in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll see if we've got anything that looks kind of researchy. Right, now I know I've got a science lab here, so something. Right, there's got to be, let's see, science lab, meshes. Right. So we've got scientific devices. Right. We've got an electron microscope. I'll tell you what we could use here. We could use this scientific device number 2 and just have them like in a row. Right? So what we could actually do is look at the blueprints of the scientific devices, right? And we could look at this and decide from there if it kind of looks cool or not. You know what I mean? Right, a pattern list doesn't do anything unless the material is, unless it's using a material. Now I do know that it does use materials, but I'm not sure if it uses materials. Right, it's compiling shaders, so we're going to have to wait and see if it actually does. In the meantime, we'll check this one, and that's definitely doing loads of stuff. Right, and I'll guess that these are dynamic materials or something. No, it's rotating stuff and doing stuff. Yeah, it's rotating a material around. So yeah, let's look at the event graph. It's not got anything there, but if we check here, it's got it in the construction script, so we might actually see something happening. Scary though that might be. Okay, so we're going to have to wait for these compilers, I'm afraid, guys. So let's hope that it gets the finger out here and does what it's supposed to do. So how's everybody's evening? Is everybody having a good evening? What are they doing? Anything interesting? Let me know in the comments or the chat while we wait on these shaders. Down to 693, guys. It's a bit of a countdown. This could be the moment for you guys to subscribe. I know that every sort of YouTuber's supposed to say that every 2 minutes. Or hit the like button or something. Right, so anyway. We're still rocking along, doing our compiling shaders. And there's nothing, oh, at least we're getting, oh, interesting. Now this could be interesting because what we could do is change the colour of this depending on what research is getting done at the time. Yeah? So if we look at, here's the material, right? It's set in the material instance, so it must be what material is it? It's the material scientific device. So if we go to here, and it's a material instance, so if we double click it, right, it's only using part, no, that's not a material. There's a default value, and it's material right, so it's saying it's that, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that. Right? I'm looking at this. Yeah. There we go. MI water, right? So I'm guessing. So there's MI water 2, right? And yay, we have got vectors, vector parameters. So that means that we can change the color, right? And if we can change the color, that means that we can change the color depending on what research is getting done. Okay, so if we look at our MI water, or M water actually, right, we should have our parameters. There's the panner speed, and these aren't parameters, so no idea what most of this does, but anyway, this is a subsurface color, right? And we have opacity, and we have the two diffuse colors, right? So when we look at these are the two different parameters, and it lerps between the two. Right, so that's why one is dark, one is light. Okay, so fundamentally what we could do here is set up colors, right? And depending on what the research is, we set these two colors to be that, right? So we can use their material, but then adjust it to find out what we actually want as the color. And I think my wife is just about to return, and if she does, the dog's going to lose it, so I'm going to switch the mic off for a second, okay? Okay, I think that's the dog had its moment of going doolally. Right, so what we could do is, right, this is where we can be smart, okay? This is where we can be smart. And the idea here is what I'm going to do is, for the research, right? Now, if we look at research, right, the research is in the UI because it's mostly done in UI, right? So if we go to game, then research, okay, now if we look at the structs, right, and look at research items, we could actually put a color in here as a struct, right? Or we'd actually need 3 colors, so we'd need like the diffuse 1, diffuse 2, and the subsurface, right? But there's no reason why we can't do that, right? If we add it to our struct, and then it'll be saved in our data table. Now, the other option is to do something similar, but to create an enum, right? So what we could do is we could have research color. So that's what I'm going to do, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to say create enumeration, and it's going to be research, if I can spell it right, research color, okay? And we're just going to do new, right? So we're going to do the obvious first, right? We'll do red, we'll do green, we'll do blue, we'll do purple, we'll do, let's think, what will we do? We'll do, give me a colour, guys. Hi Ravel, how you doing, mate? We'll do purple, we'll do white, we'll do black, right? But it's not going to be black. It's going to be something else. It's going to be a black but lighter, right? So red, green, blue, purple, white, black. add a new one. Violet. Right, we'll do a new one that's going to be indigo. What else do we have here? Got purple, green, orange. Right, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, we need one more. Right, if we're going to have 9, we may as well have 10. Right. So, if you add red and green, you get purple. If you add, do you? Well, obvious, yellow. Right, save. That'll do. That'll do for us. Right, our shaders are still coming down, but not exactly very quickly. So now what we can do is we've got research categories. Maybe. Where's our research items? Oh, that's our enums. Right, okay. So in here, basically what we do is we add a new variable. And it's going to be color. Okay, Americans, I'm going to bow to your inferior spelling. Right? And we'll say E research color. So that's going to be save. Okay? So now, right, what we do is we're going to need a structure. Right? We're going to need a structure, which is in blueprints, obviously. And it's going to be struct research color. Okay, then we can open that up and we can say diffuse 1 and that's going to be a color. It might actually be a linear color. Yeah, it's going to be a linear color, right? Then we're going to have diffuse 2, which is going to be a linear color. And if we actually check our material water, we shall actually see what it is. And it is what we think it is. So that is an RGBA. Right, now if that causes problems, we can still turn it around by basically converting it when we pass it in, okay? So what we'll do is we'll add this variable, and that's going to be called SSS subsurface, whatever that is. So we'll save that. Okay. And we're actually going to need another variable here. And I don't know which way I'm going to do this, right? Which way around. But what we'll do is this is going to be name. And it's actually going to be a research color. And we shall actually call it color. Just to make it a bit more defined, we're going to call it color name. Okay. So we're going to save that. And then what we can do is we can dump this into a data table. Okay. And then when we get the research, all we need is the color, and then we can link it back to the actual linear variables. Okay. So if we go back to our data tables, we can create a data table which is under miscellaneous data table, and it's going to be based on this struct here, which is struct research color. Okay, that, and it's going to be called DT research colors, right? Okay. And we're going to add, and we're going to say red, and red, it's going to be kinda red. And I don't know why it does that, by the way. Don't know why it doesn't change, right? What I normally have to do here is basically go like that and select the color from here. And that's more like orange. So we'll do that. Right. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Okay, that. And then what I'm going to have to do is check what these values are in the other one, to see what the relationship between the SSS and the other one is, right? So if we come back to here, right, and then we look at this water. Okay, we can look at this, and it's kind of darker, and that's kind of really dark. So we're really going to have to piss about with this, really. And our shaders are losing their mind, as you can see here. So we take it on for there. Right, that's the way we're going to do it. Now, apparently, as we saw there, right, the SSS was a bit darker, and this was like really dark. So this should be like that. Okay. So this should be like that. And this one should be just a bit darker than that. Okay, that. Right? So that looks like what red should kind of look like. Okay? So if I save that, and then if we go back to here, okay, and the material is that, then what I can do here is I can create dynamic material instance. Okay, and then this goes in here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, that's alright. So the water, we create that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to create a new variable, and we're going to call it D. Well, actually we're not. We're going to delete that, and then we're going to promote this to a variable so that we've got the correct thing, and then we'll call it Dyn Material for dynamic material, right? So this is going to go in the start. Okay. And then with our dynamic material, we're going to set it's going to be vector parameter. And we're going to have our three things here. So we need the names of our three things. We're going to do it in a second, right? We need to first of all get the names of our parameters, which is going to come from here. So we can copy it from here. So let's have a look at our water. And it's diffuse space color, diffuse 2 space color, and SSS. Right, okay. So if we go back to here, right, we can duplicate that. We can duplicate that. So that one is going to be called SSS. This one is going to be called diffuse 2 color. This is going to be called diffuse color. Weird names, I've got to say. It's all lowercase, except for the SSS, which is all uppercase. I love the naming conventions. Right, so this is going to be there. So that's going to be like that. So that's fine. Okay. We're all good, except for the part where we need to read the database. Now, there is only one thing in the database, or data table, so data table, right? So that's research colors, right? Now we need to obviously change this when we do it, but anyway, we break that,